Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Higher Grounds podcast and today's morning minute meditation. Glad you tuned in today. And just a simple thought to talk about today. If you know your church history, you know that after Christ was resurrected, the persecution of Christians has only increased since that time. And during the early years of the church, one of the main persecutors of Christians was, of course, the Roman Empire, especially the Caesars who ruled it. And you'll know that title Caesar, if you've studied it out, it's not a name giving, it's not, there weren't a bunch of guys named Caesar. Their parents didn't say, well, I'm going to name my child Caesar. It's a title, just like a king or a bishop and whatnot. And the funny thing about the title of Caesar is that there are quite a few synonyms to it you could use, things like totalitarian ruler, tyrant. But one of the really interesting ones that I find is that it is sovereign. Sovereign is a synonym for Caesar. A sovereign is really just something that has all power and commands all obedience in its life. Now, you'll also know that the reasons, if you studied it out, that the Romans persecuted the Christians was not because they worshiped God. They didn't have a problem with you worshiping God. You could worship as many gods as you wanted to. But you had to make it public that among all those gods, you also worshiped Caesar. Now, this wasn't a problem for most groups. Even the Jews, who were highly religious, they would say, well, we really worship God, but we're going to, go to their commands. We're going to act publicly, say we worship Caesar. We worship God in our hearts, though. The Christians, though, had a problem with this, serving one God and only worshiping the one God. And so that's why the Romans had a problem with them. You can't have a sovereign Caesar in your life and have a sovereign God at the same time. Now, I don't think most of the people listening to this are falling down in front of a physical man or a physical idol and worshiping it. But, worship is a lot more than that. Worship really comes from the heart. It has to do with what you want more than anything else in your life and showing gratitude and gratefulness to that thing and being thankful for it. That's really where worship is at its core. And if we go off those standards, there are a lot of people today claim to be Christians, not saying they're not, but we as a group worship a lot of things besides God. And Jesus said you cannot worship God and mammon. You cannot have two rulers. You can't have two sovereigns. God, just like Caesar, is a sovereign God. He has all the power and he wants all the obedience, but so often we neglect to give it to him. So the question today, it's still just as prevalent as it was back then, is this: will you worship God or will you worship Caesar? It's a simple thought, my friends, but I hope you have a blessed day.